This video is about the current state of the housing market in Colorado in October of 2022. And we'll start out by a kind of a summary of the last few years and basically what happened because it's been a wild market. And people don't know, was it a good time to buy now or not? So what happened was when COVID hit early 2020, rates were artificially lowered to stimulate the economy. And this in turn caused massive competition in real estate because rates were so low. People wanted to get a house at 3% rate. And since there was so much competition, prices went up fast. Like if you look between early 2020 to the spring of 2022, there's a huge increase in housing prices. Well, this trend started to reverse. In 2022, rates started to go up. But there wasn't an instant correlation in prices dropping because there's a lag. People are basically following emotion instead of logic, and they're still in this frenzy to buy houses, even though the increased rate makes the monthly payment more. And about late spring, early summer, the competition started going down. And in turn, prices started going down. And I'll give you an example. Here's a house in Denver. And you can see here, July 2022, this house was listed at $449,000. And like I was saying before, as people start to realize maybe these houses aren't worth the prices they're at the current rates, and you can see the price getting lower and lower and lower. Currently, in October 6th, this is down to $380,000. So, how do you take advantage of this? And really, should you buy now? Well, if you want to do it successfully, you have to have a strategy. And the strategy is, so how do you take advantage of the shift in the housing market? One way is through seller concessions, and I'll explain this in a second. What are seller concessions? Basically incentives given by the seller for you to buy the house. If we go back to this whole chart of rates, prices, and competition, when rates go back down, prices generally go back up, and competition goes back up. So the sellers don't need any incentive to get you to buy. But in the current state, as the example we gave here, they're just dropping the price because there isn't as much competition because rates are high. So going back to, well, what's seller concessions and how do you get them? And there's incentives given by the seller to buy. So in this case of a $380,000 house, how this would work. You could say, okay, Mr. Seller, your house is at $380,000. I'll offer you $387,000 if you pay my closing costs. So we're going to tell the seller that they're going to save me, and closing costs on this house are around $7,000. So I'll give you an example. I have this in three scenarios. Number one is the same property at $449,000. Number two is the property at the current price and including that $7,000 extra that you're getting paid in closing costs. The difference between these two, this one is at 5%, this one is at 7% rate. And if we go down to the monthly cost, how much this costs per month? The reason why the prices are dropping is because people look at this total monthly payment and they see when it was at 5% at a higher price, the total payment is $2,815. at the lower price and higher rate at 7% rate, the total monthly payment is $29.34. And the reason for that is you're paying more interest. And people just look at this, they look at this payment and they don't consider the out-of-pocket cost. And when we go down to the total cost, so in the lower price scenario, we're getting the seller to pay closing costs. So we're saving $7,000 out of pocket. In the higher price scenario with a lower rate, there is more competition, so we can't get any concessions. So we have to pay the $7,000 closing costs. In addition, there, like in an extreme case, when the competition gets to be a great amount, we were having what's called an appraisal gap. People were paying extra above this $7,000 just to get the house. They're paying extra above closing cost, above everything else in a one-time payment, basically so that they can get a lower rate. So when you're looking at the complete picture, you have to compare both the total out-of-pocket initial cost and the amount per month. In this case, when we're comparing these two houses, one at $449,000 and one at $387,000, and this is the same house, you have to factor both the monthly payment and the initial investment, because in this case of the lower price, higher rate, we're saving $7,000 out of pocket. We're not even taking into consideration a potential appraisal gap. And if we took that $7,000 we saved and applied it to the payments every month, because the payments are more, yes, but we have an extra $7,000. And if you look at the chart, the actual out-of-pocket cost that you're spending breaks even a little before 2 years are up. Now, in the case of this house scenario, you'll be able to refinance in that time period to a lower rate. And if you wait for the rates to drop, the competition's going to go up and the prices are going to go up. So in summary, we're trying to limit cost now, get the house at the lowest out-of-pocket cost, and when the rate goes down, we refinance. We end up way farther ahead in this scenario than we do if you wait for the rates to drop. Because if we wait for the rates to drop, the price will increase, the out-of-pocket cost will increase, and the competition will increase. So in summary, we want to buy now and you end up ahead by taking the risk that rates will drop. Instead of waiting for them to drop, we can get all of those incentives by buying now. I hope that makes sense. Hope you're having a great day. There are a lot of different strategies to where we can save this out-of-pocket cost. How to apply them, such as 2-1 buy downs, just getting seller concessions for closing costs. There's a lot of different ways to tackle it, but that's the principle. The principle is now we have lower price, lower cost. We have a higher rate, but we can wait that out and end up ahead by buying now.